This conference will now be recorded.
Actually, today is my first day of my office. So, and here in Bangalore, there is a heavy rain. So, unfortunately, all the things messed up. Sorry for that. Anyways, coming back to the next concept, in the last class, we discussed about the CloudWatch configuration, where we can configure the metrics, events, and then log groups. Any questions from the last session, or else I can go further into the concept. Any questions from the last concept? And are you getting the videos? Yes, anyone? Am I audible, first of all?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine then. So
I
when we
didn't.
go back to
I
the,
didn't check.
yeah, sorry.
No, I didn't check the videos. So I'll check and I'll
Okay,
tell.
fine then. So for the last class, you don't have any problem with the last class, right? So you are pretty clear with that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine then. So when we go back to the next concept, today we are going to discuss about the cloud formation. What is this cloud formation? So from the starting of AWS, whatever we have discussed, so that is totally regarding VPC configuration, EC2 configuration, and then we have gone for S3 configuration. Later on, we are going for the SSM and all the things. So these are all configured with the help of AWS management console. So by taking the AWS management console into the picture, and then we are logging into the management console, and then we are logging as a root user, and then we are creating the resources. This is the procedure which we have followed for creating the resources like VPC and EC2 instances. But here, what we are going to do now here is, so here we are going to learn about how to automate the resources, how to create the resources automatically. There are multi ways of creating the resources. That is, we now call it as IAC. So infrastructure as a code. So we are going to write some code. So this IAC configuration tools are like, for AWS, it is like CloudFormation. But when you go to the third-party tools, so very useful third-party tool is Terraform. With the help of Terraform, what we can do here is we can create the resources with the help of code so that we can configure. Now, when you go for the cloud formation, how we can create the templates. Here in cloud formation, we are having the templates to create the VPC resources, VPC and EC2 instances, any AWS resources we can create with the help of some template. So that I will show you. But how we can create these templates? We can create the templates in two manner. One is on the JSON format and the other one is on the YAML format, nothing but YAML format. So if you are very good with the YAML, you can create the resources with the YAML format, or else if you are good with the JSON, you can create the resources with JSON. Now here we will be going with the JSON configuration, how we can create the resources. Now before we go for the configuration and all the things, so here there are some configuration management tools. So what is this configuration management tools? Now whenever we are discussing about the configuration management tools, so with the help of these tools also we can create the infrastructure, not only with the Terraform and CloudFormation, but also with the help of Ansible, Puppet, and Chef. Most probably these are called as the configuration management tools. But with the help of Ansible also we can create the infrastructure. But later on discussing about that, so it is not a reliable source for creating the resources. So the most reliable and trusted source is Terraform, or else if at all if you are using the AWS, then you can go for the CloudFormation templates. Now, why we are using the Ansible? What is the main difference between Terraform and Ansible? So Terraform is like, see, if at all if you want to purchase a server, so you will go to the market and purchase the server, whatever the company made it is, you will purchase the server depending upon the required configuration, like what is the CPU, what is the RAM, and what is the hard disk, that you will specify and you will purchase the RAM. So in the same manner, here also Terraform will provide us the infrastructure. So after giving the infrastructure, so what we have to do, if at all if we purchase a server, so server will not do any work until you install any operating system and until you install any application. So here what you have to do here is we need to install some applications in the server. So just compare the server configuration and coming back to the Terraform and Ansible configuration. So what I am saying here, so whenever you want to configure anything, So the configuration management tools will be helpful. So with the help of Terraform, we can create the resources. With the help of CloudFormation, we can create the resources. For example, there are 10 servers. In those 10 servers, if you want to install an operating system, or else let me say you, if you want to install Python, and if you want to install pip, and if you want to run certain queries, certain commands, so how much time it is going to take? So you have to go to every server, you need to log into the every server, and then you have to give the entire configuration. So it is going to take some 15 to, so let us suppose think it is going to take 10 minutes per server. So there are some 10 servers are there, 10 into 10, 100 minutes, which is equivalent to 1 hour, equal to 2 hours. So your 2 hours of time is wasted, your 2 hours of work has been wasted. But if at all, if you are having an Ansible server, then what you can do here is you can completely automate the task. So this Ansible server will communicate with all the servers, and it will install and it will run all the queries. So this is called as a configuration management tools, and these are called as infrastructure management tools. So among these infrastructure management tools, today we will be discussing about the CloudFormation, how we can create the infrastructure. To create the infrastructure, first of all, we need to have a template. If you go to the uh, CloudFormation template anatomy, here you will be having a template. We are going to use the template. So among those templates, we will be utilizing some of the configuration, and we will be excluding the another configuration. So this is the basic thing which I am saying. If you want to learn in depth into that, you can go for the configuration. If you can go for the mappings, conditions, everything, you can learn that. But this is the basic cloud configuration which I am saying. So now let me go back to your folder here. Okay, so now what I can do here is, this is the cloud formation. So today topic will be a prolonged topic, so keep an eye on that. Okay, so now what I can do here is, this is my sample.json. So this is the actual anatomy of your entire cloud formation template. So we don't want the metadata, we don't want the parameters right now. I'm going to configure that. Rules are not required, so these are the advanced things. Mappings are also not required, conditions not required, transform not required, resources are mandatory. So among all these anatomy elements, resources are very mandatory. And right now I don't want the outputs also, but let us give that. So what I have to do here, the first thing is AWS template format version. This I have to provide. How I can provide that? The format version is a date. So what I can do here is, okay, so let me take the template version. So this is the version date 9/9/2010, and the description, you are going to provide the description. Cloud formation for creating EC2 instances with load balancer. Okay, that's good. So what is this metadata? So the metadata will describe about your resources. So whenever we are configuring that, let me show you one thing. So what is this metadata here is all about is, first of all, I will configure the cloud formation so that you can get an idea about this, what is there inside this metadata. Now when we go into the cloud formation console, look at there, cloud formation. Now let me, okay, I don't want to use this one. So let me log out of this account, and I will log into the another account. I'll go to cloud formation. Okay, so let me delete this stack. That's good. So I'm going to create a stack. Create a stack means a set of resources is called as a stack. Now I am going to upload the template. Here you can see the CloudFormation template. See here the metadata. Inside the metadata, what you are having when you log into AWS, there is a configuration called as CloudFormation. For that, you will have an interface. Interface means it's like a console. Inside the interfaces, you need to provide the parameter groups. First of all, I will show you. Let me upload the template here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, this template. Now look at here. When I upload this, and if I click on next, see here you are getting the stack details. So what is the stack details that you are getting? Parameters. So here you can see that this is the interface. Inside the interface you are having a parameters tool. So parameters heading. Now what is this parameters? So here you can see parameter group. So what it is saying, the label is creating a cloud with NLB for AWS B13. Here also you can see creating the cloud with NLB for AWS B13, from which I am getting, from this CloudFormation template I am getting the values. And here you can see what are the parameters that I have to provide. If you can see here, the parameters that I have to provide here is enter VPC name. Here you can see VPC name is a parameter, and then VPC CIDR is a parameter. And then if you see here, parameters are, these are the parameters. So what are the required metadata for you to create the resources are called as parameters. To create VPC, we need a VPC name and VPC CIDR. And then to create the public subnet, I need a public subnet CIDR and public subnet name. Private subnet CIDR, and private subnet name, that we will configure. But as of now, these are the parameters. And if you see here, the parameter labels for VPC name, what is the label that it should be displaying? For VPC name parameter, the label that it should display is enter VPC name, that it is going to display here. Okay, and the next one here is, when we go back to the next configuration, what is the VPC CIDR default label? If you can see, enter VPC CIDR. There you go, enter VPC CIDR, like that. So remaining everything is there. So once we configure this, so what it has to be done, we need to provide the default name, so and the description. So here you can see the description is what is VPC name. Here you can see what is the description, what is VPC name, and what is the default name it is getting. It is getting AWS B12 VPC. If you want any default name, you can configure that. Now let us configure this parameters in our console, or else let us develop these parameters. So what is the metadata that I want? So the first metadata target here is, first of all, we need to configure the parameter groups. So AWS CloudFormation. If you have any doubts, now what you can do here is, let me go back to the CloudFormation metadata. If you can see metadata AWS CloudFormation interface, here you can get an idea about this. So what it is saying, AWS CloudFormation. So what is the metadata? So inside metadata, you will have the CloudFormation interface. Let me copy this. And inside that, you will have the parameter labels. Okay, this is good. And we will discuss about the remaining in the upcoming topic, but as of now, these are the parameter labels and parameter groups. So here what you can say here is, here you can provide a label. So what is the label that I can provide here is, the label is label. So the label is create cloud with NLB for AWS B14. This is the label. Now it is pretty clear. So if you can see what is the label that has been given, label, and we are default is this. So let us do one thing. Let me copy this. Okay, parameters groups. So in the parameter group, I have to provide this. Hold on, I just forgot this. Hold on. Done. So label, and here what you need to do is, inside the label, you need to provide like this. Okay, that's good. Okay, this is good. And create cloud for cloud with NLB for AWS B14. And the next one here is we need to provide the parameter groups. So what are the parameter groups? What are the values that I have to give parameters? Let me copy this and I will paste it over here. Parameters. Okay, this is good. So now here I am going to configure only VPC. So I will remove these things. We'll reconfigure that, but as of now I want to configure this. I'm going to remove this. Okay, this is fine. And the next one here is it is done. So I want to configure a VPC. And the next one, parameter labels. What are the parameter labels we want? Here is VPC name and VPC CIDR. That's it. Copy this, paste it over here. Okay, this is good. Parameter labels here. Where is this? This is done, and here it is done, and for this it is done, and for metadata we have to give like this. Okay, good. Now it has been configured perfectly. So if you can see what we have given, parameter groups, label, parameters, and what are the parameter labels, and then now we are going to configure the parameters. If you go down, we are now going to configure the parameters. What is the parameter? VPC name. So I want to configure the VPC name. So if you go down here, okay, and then we need to configure the VPC CIDR. VPC CIDR. Okay, and here you have to provide the default description. Let me do one thing. So I will go with AWS B14. That's more than enough. Another hyphen VPC is not required. Now VPC CIDR. How I can write this VPC CIDR? VPC CIDR is also type is string, and default also we can provide, and description is what is the VPC CIDR. Or else I can go for enter VPC CIDR. But here we have to mention the one more thing is allowed pattern. We need to provide the pattern. This pattern is in the Regex format. Regex means regular expression format. So let me copy this. I'll paste it over here. Now, what is this regular expression pattern? If you can see here, we are having some pattern, what it is going to say. So in the regular expression pattern, whenever you say this symbol, this is called as caret symbol. Your regular expression will be starting with the caret symbol and ends with the dollar symbol. Now, if you can see here, the regular expression is started with the caret and it is ended with the dollar. Here you can see. Okay, so the next one is the IP addresses will be ranging from 0 to 255. So how you can write 0 to 255 in the regular expression pattern? So first of all, if you want to write the IP addresses from 0 to 9, so 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that you can write it like this, 0 to 9. And then if the IP addresses are ranging from 10 to 99, how you can write is, this is in this manner you can write. So 1-9 and 0-9. This is for 10 to 99. Here you can see. So 10. Here you can see 1, 0, and this one is constant, and the right hand side it will be incrementing 11, 12, 13, and so on. It will be updated to 90, like that. So again it will be 2 and 20, 21, 22, and also on up to 29, and then again it is going to be updated up to 99. So whenever we are writing from 100 to 199, here 1 is constant. So when 1 is constant, what we can do here is 1, and what is reciprocating 0-9 and 0-9. This is how we can write. But here we cannot write like this. If you can see here, these two arrays are common. 09 and 09. These two arrays are common. Now what I can do here is I can simply make like this. So 2 times it is repeating. So I can give like this. So this is for 100 to 99. And next one is 200 to 249. So how I can write that? 2 0-4 and 0-9. If I write like this, this will be for 200 to 249. And finally 25 is constant, 250 to 255, 0-5. That's it. So this is how we can write the IP addresses ranges from 0 to 255. So there are 4 octets. Among the 4 octets, which will be common here? Here 0-255, 0-255, 0-255, and 0-255. But there is a small difference is there. What is that here is 0.255, 0.255, 0.255, which means that this dot is repeated. So here this pattern is similar, but last pattern is not similar. So if at all last pattern is also having dot, then what I can write here is simply 0 to, so I can write like this. Let me copy. I can simply write like this, and finally what I can do here is into 4. If I give like this, then the meaning is, so here you are having 0.255, 0.255, 0.255, 0.255 and dot. Finally, at last also you are having the dot. But I cannot provide like this. So what I can do here is, despite of that, here I can give 3, which means that the 3, whatever the arrays that we are having, those are common, and the last array, whichever you are having, is different. So let me copy this. That's it. So this is how you can give the IP addresses. Now if you can see here, that is the way I have provided 0-9, 1-909, and 2 times, and then it will be multiplied for, like, it has to be repeated for 3 times, and finally we are having a single, the 4th octet, and here /16 to /28. So this is what the pattern that we have provided for our VPC creation, and this is the default VPC. Now we need to create the resource. So what is the resource that we have to create? We need to create a VPC. How we can create a VPC? What are the required things to create the VPC? The first and foremost thing that we require to create the VPC is CIDR, and then VPC name, and finally what is required, so edit DNS host name, so that is also required. So that how I can write like here is, so let me go back to the CloudFormation VPC. So if you go here, so it is going to give you the properties. So the properties is, so this is the concept that you need to copy. Let me copy this. So what is the resource that I want to create here is, I want to create a VPC. Let me give like this. So VPC. Okay. So among the VPC, I need to provide the CIDR block. So enable DNS hostname, this is true, and enable DNS support, this is also true, and we don't want instance tenancy. So these are all things that are not required. Okay, these are all not required, so I'm going to delete all of them. After that, what I can do here is, I need to, these are the things that I need. So what are the tags that I need to provide here is the tag is, for example, key is name and value. So value is, so what is the name of the VPC? To get the name of the VPC, simply what I can do here is refer to, so you need to refer, what I need to refer, what VPC need to refer to VPC name. From here it is going to get the VPC name. Simply you can provide like this. And what is the CIDR block? If you want to get the CIDR block, then simply what you can do here is, you can go with the refer to which it has to refer. It has to refer to VPC CIDR. From VPC CIDR it is going to get the VPC CIDR. So when you give this, that's more than enough. So right now I don't want the outputs. So if you want the output also, how you can get the output? So the output will be VPC CIDR is, so I want to get the VPC ID. Let me do one thing. I will go with the output. Let me copy this. So here you can write like this, VPC ID. The output is VPC ID. Default description is VPC ID of newly created VPC is refer to VPC. From VPC you can get this. So this is how I can make it out. Okay. So here you can provide any name, VPC or also any name, but as of now I'm providing like this. So when I upload this template, see here what is going to happen. So I'm going to upload this template, create a stack. Come on, upload the template file. Choose the file. I'll go to AWS or Durga Soft Online. Here we are having the CloudFormation template. Select the template and then next. If there is any mistake, it is going to show you. Right now there is no mistake. So what is the stack name? AWS B14 VPC. This is the stack name, and the VPC name is AWS B14. If you want, you can change it. and enter the VPC CIDR. Right now 192.168.0.0/16. This is the VPC CIDR which I am entering. So next, and you don't need to provide all these things. Next and submit. When you submit this, automatically the CloudFormation is going to create a VPC. Here you can see, if you go to the VPC, the VPC will be created. Hold on. When I go back to this, but the problem here is we don't need to have 5 VPC. If we have the 5 VPCs, then there you go. So AWS B14 has been created. Now let me do one thing. I will delete all these VPCs except dev VPC. Is it possible? I don't think so. Hold on. So this is how we have created our VPC, that is AWS B14 VPC. And the next one, what I can do after creating this VPC, I am testing is available. Okay, that's fine. Let me go back. Here we have created the VPC. Now what is my requirement after creating the VPC? What we need to have here is, I need to have an internet gateway. Let me do one thing. Simply I can go with internet gateway. Okay, so I can go with internet gateway. So what is the properties of this internet gateway? If you can see here, I will go back to the CloudFormation templates. Here we should have internet gateway. Hold on. VPC gateway attachment. In the VPC only we need to have the internet. There you go. This is the internet gateway. So simply what you can do, you can copy the internet gateway. So this is the type is AWS internet gateway. You need to provide like this, and the tags. You just need to provide the tags. So how I can provide the tags? The tags are here. We are going to do something different. So if I provide like this, so the tags are like, I can go with the key and name, and then I can go with the value. So the value is simply I can go with AWS B14 hyphen IGW. If I provide this, so is there is any problem if I provide like this? Can anybody say any problem if I provide the internet gateway like this? Anyone? If I provide the internet gateway name like this, is there is any problem? Obviously there is a problem. What is the problem here? This is the hard coded one in the sense, the point is, whenever we go for, if I change the VPC name, so I will go with AWS B15. What happens here? If I go for AWS B14, that is good, but if I go for AWS B15, still the internet gateway name will be AWS B14 hyphen IGW only, which means that it is going to be hard coded. It is not going to be changed if I apply the code. But how I can manage this? To manage this name, we are having an option called as FN join. In CloudFormation, we can use FN join. FN join. So this is the simple way how I can integrate two different values. So let me copy this. Okay, here I can provide that FN join value. So FN join, and here what I can do is the delimiter. So between AWS B14 and IGW, I need to have the hyphen. So now what are the values that I need to provide here? So I can provide that refer to reference is VPC name. So if you want the VPC name, go to VPC name. Okay. And then what you can do here is after providing this, then here you can give the IGW. Simply you can provide IGW simply like this. So that what is going to happen with the VPC name? What is the VPC name? The VPC name is AWS B14. So here you are having the delimiter, that is hyphen, and then you are having IGW. So this is the syntax which we will be using. Okay. So the next one here is after configuring this, what I can do. After configuring this, so here you can see we have the VPC name and IGW. If you have any, let me check out this one. Hyphen refer to VPC name and IGW. This is good. So the next thing what I can do here is after configuring this, so I can go for the next type of configuration is that I just want to attach it. Now the internet gateway is created successfully, but it is not attached. If I want to attach the internet gateway, what I have to do? So to attach the internet gateway, there is an option in the CloudFormation that is called as gateway attachment type. Okay, or else you can go for gateway attachment. Hold on, guys. I can go with the gateway attachment. So here you can see we are having an option called as gateway attachment. Let me copy this. So for attaching the internet gateway, what are the required things? To attach the internet gateway, we need to have the gateway ID. So if you want the gateway ID, you can refer from the internet gateway. From this block, you are going to get the internet gateway. And if you want the VPC ID, you can refer to this block. So from this block, you are going to get the VPC ID. So if we combine both of them, so then the gateway attachment will be created. So this is the point. And next what I can do here is here I can configure the public subnets. So if I want to configure the public subnets, how I can configure them, or else if I want to create a subnet, how I can create them. So the first one here is, first of all, here we need to mention. So for the public subnets, we need to provide the CIDR. So whatever the values that we need to provide, we need to apply that here. So what I can do here is simply I can go for the hi public subnet, public subnet one, and then I want to create one more subnet, that is public subnet 2. These are the two subnets which I want to create. And if you want the parameter labels, here you can give like this. Simply public subnet, and then what I can do here is the default is enter.
I think your screen is stuck.
Hold on. Are you able to see now? Are you able to check it out? Are you is my screen is visible to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the next thing what I can configure here is enter the uh, public subnet CIDR1. So that we need to enter that, and then what we can configure here is public subnet to CIDR. So public subnet to CIDR. Okay, here also what we can do here is CIDR. Okay, so public subnet 1 CIDR and public subnet to CIDR. Okay, this is good, and yes, it is done. So here you can provide the CIDR values. Simply what you can do here is you can replicate the same here, and then let me replicate the same over here. This is my public subnet 1 CIDR. Simply I can go with the CIDR. Okay, yeah, that's good. So on the next one is here I can go with public subnet to CIDR. Public subnet to CIDR. So the public subnet to CIDR is 10 dot, I can go with the default 10.0.1.0/24. The next one is 10.0.2.0/24. In this manner, I can create the subnets. And later on, what I can do, I just want to create the subnets. How I can create the subnets? For creating the public subnets, what I can do here is public subnet 1. So this is the resource which I want to create. So if you want to create this resource, you need to go for the types. So the type is AWS EC2 public subnet. There you go. So this is the type. The type is AWS EC2 subnet, and where we have to deploy. These are the properties which we need to go through. Okay, that's it. So we don't want this IPv6 address on creation, and we want the availability zone. So in which availability zone I want to create the public subnet? First subnet should be created in US East 1A, and then availability zone ID is not required. And I want the CIDR block. If you want the CIDR block, then what it should do? It should uh, refer to public subnet CIDR 1. So let me copy this. From here, I can get the CIDR value. And the next one is enable DNS64 is not required, IPv6 is not required, and IPv6 native is not required. And public map IP on launch is true, which means that automatically enabling the public IP address. It is true. And outpost ARN not required, private DNS is not required. And finally, we can provide the tags. So what are the tags that I have to provide here is the tags are, so I want to create a what I can say, I just want to create a public subnets with the name VPC hyphen public subnet 1. So what I can do here is, let me paste it over here. So the key is name and the value is fn join, and the reference is VPC name. Here you can provide the, in place of IGW, I am going to provide public subnet 1. That's it. So it is going to create like AWS B14 hyphen public subnet 1. And this subnet has to be created in a VPC. So what is the VPC ID? The VPC ID is simply, I can go for refer to VPC. That's it. So it is done. So public subnet is done. Now let me configure the public subnet 2. This is for public subnet 1, and I am going to configure the public subnet 2. So how we are going to call it as public subnet and private subnet, that depends upon the routing table. So availability zone is US East 1B, and CIDR block is subnet 2 CIDR, and here the name is public subnet 2. That is done. So that the public subnets are going to be created. So if you want to get the subnet IDs, here you can get the subnet IDs also. So what I can do, let me copy this. See there, if you want the IGW ID, Internet Gateway ID, what is the description that I can provide here is the IGW ID of newly created internet gateway is, so you need to refer to the value called as this internet gateway. So you can get the IGW ID. Let me copy this. You have to refer to internet gateway. That is good. And the next one, what I can do here, the public subnet ID value here is public subnet 1 ID. So description is good. So public ID of newly created public subnet is newly created public subnet is, so refer to public subnet 1. And then what I can do, I can go for public subnet 2. So the public subnet 2 ID is, ID of newly created public subnet 2 is refer to public subnet 2. That's it. So it is, I am going to get the values. subnet ID values. So if you want to check out this, again, you have to deploy this in your CloudFormation. So let me go back to this, update the stack. So replace the current template, upload the template file. So what is the template file? This is sample.json. This is the template file which I have to upload. Next. And what I can do here is, see there, here I can provide the public subnet CIDR. So the public subnet CIDR is 192.168.1.0/24. Dot 0. Next, next, and submit. Once you submit this, automatically subnets and internet gateway is going to be created. If you want to check out this, let us do one thing. I will go back to the internet gateway. Here you can see the name of the internet gateway is, see here, AWS B14 IGW internet gateway has been created and it should be attached, but still there might be a problem. Hold on. Yeah. Now the creation is completed. Now here you can see the internet gateway is attached to the VPC, and as well as the subnets are going to be created. Two subnets are getting created. One is public subnet 1 and the other one is public subnet 2. Hold on. There you go. Public subnet 2 and public subnet 1. AWS B14, where is it? AWS B14 public subnet 1 and AWS B14 public subnet 2. So let me do one thing. So this is how the subnets are created. Now the next thing what I want to do here is, I want to create a routing table and add these subnets to the routing table, and as well as add the internet gateway to the routing table. So how I can do that here is, so first of all I want to create a routing table. So how I can create that? That we are going to have public routing table. Public routing table. So what are the properties for the public routing table? Here you can see route table. The properties are very simple: tags and VPC ID. We need to mention the tags and VPC ID. Excuse me. So the tag is also pretty simple. So what I am going to do, the same here, VPC name hyphen tag. Give like this. And provide like this. And here it is, VPC name hyphen public route table. That's good. And the next one is VPC ID. If you want the VPC ID, simply what you can do, refer to VPC. So I'm continuously doing the, I'm not going to do the hard coding. It is simply I'm going with the variabilization. So done. So now what is going to happen? A public routing table will be created inside the VPC. Next one here is, we need to provide the route. Here you can see we need to provide the route. How I can provide the route? These are the properties that I have to go for the route. So the route is simply I can go with public route. Okay, so I just want to add the route. So what is the route? Every time we will be going with the CIDR as 0.0.0/0 and internet gateway. So inside the routing table, in which routing table we have to give? So whatever the routing table that we have created just now, inside this routing table only, I need to provide the public route. Okay, so what I can do here is, let me copy this one. Okay, properties, carrier gateway ID is not necessary. Destination CIDR block is 0.0.0.0/0. This is the destination CIDR block, and we don't want any destination IPv6. Egress is also not required. Gateway ID is required. So We don't want all these things. Interface, network gateway ID, local, these are all not required. So these are the things which we require. And if you want the gateway ID, so if you want the gateway ID, then what you have to do, refer to which it has to refer internet gateway. And if you want to have the routing table ID, then what you need to do, refer to what is the route table ID here, public routing table. So from this you can get the route table ID. Okay, so this is how you can create the routing table, and you can add the what I can say, you can add the public route. And the next one here is, if you want to provide the subnet associations also, I want to add the subnets to my public routing table. How I can do that? You can go for the subnet association, subnet route table association. This is the one. So I want to add the public subnet one. So I want to associate the public subnet one. So what I can do here is public subnet one association. Okay. So here you can give the type. Simply you can give like this. So the type is AWS EC2 subnet association, and route table ID is, if you want the route table ID, refer to public routing table. And subnet ID is, if you want the subnet ID, then what you can do here is refer to public subnet one. So public subnet one will be added to our public routing table. And the next one here is, I want to add the public subnet to association. I want to do the public subnet to. Okay, done. So here we can add this. So that routing table will be created, and we will have the public route, and automatically public subnets will be associated with that routing table. So let us see whether it is going to happen or not. For that, let me re-update the stack. Upload the template file. That's it. Next. This is also good. Next. Next. And we are going to create that. So if you see here, see there,
I
routing table
think
is going to be.
there is a
Sorry.
lag your screen. I don't know for me or for all screen.
Okay.
It is stuck.
Hold on. Anybody, everyone are facing the same issue?
For me, it's fine, sir.
Okay. Please check out your internet connectivity, Amit.
Yeah, let me just disconnect and connect.
Yeah. Here you can see AWS B14 public routing table has been created, and then, and once you go to the routes also, look at there, two subnets are added. So if you see the routes, here you are having the public routes, and internet gateway is associated, and here you are having the two subnets that are associated with your internet public routing tables. So that is public subnet 1 and public subnet 2. So this is how you can configure your route table. Okay, the next one here, what I can do here is going for the security groups. So simply I can go for the security groups. So security groups. So to configure the instances, we need to have the security group. So what I can do here is, what are the ingress and egress rules that I have to provide? Egress rules we don't need to provide. Why? Because those are the outbound rules which we can negotiate. But ingress rules are very, very important. Those are the incoming traffic. So we need to be very careful whenever we are configuring the ingress rules. But as of now, as it is a demo session, what we can do here is we can deploy our security groups. Hold on. Like allowing all the traffic. Where is it? Yeah, public security. This is the one. See here, what I am providing here is, I am going to show you the entire thing. So what we can do here is, look at that. The public security is, so type is security group, and the description is I just want to allow all the traffic, and the group name is public security is a group name. And here you can see IP protocol -1 in the sense it is going to allow all the traffic. So if at all, if you have to specify all traffic, then you have to provide -1, or else if you want to specify TCP traffic, here you have to provide TCP. Okay, so right now I am going with the -1 itself, or else -1, which means that we are allowing all traffic. So if you want to allow particular port number, then what you can do here is TCP from port number 443 to and port number 443. So it is going to allow the HTTPS traffic only. But right now I am going to allow all traffic. So port number is 0, from port number 0 to port number 0, which means that it is allowing all the traffic. Okay, and here you can see key name, fn join, VPC name, and security group. So that's it. The security group will be configured. Once the security group is configured, we can deploy our server. We can deploy our public server. So how we can deploy the public server? To deploy the public server, what are the necessities? So anybody, can you tell me what are the requirements for creating a server? What are the 5 most important requirements? Any response? What are the 5 things that we require to create a server in AWS? 5 most important things.
I think Amazon image machine, then
Amazon
security
mission
group,
image, AMI
security
ID,
group, yes,
security group, subnet, key pair.
subnet.
Yeah. So these are the things which we require. Here also we are providing the same. If you see the properties, so image ID and type of instance, which type of instance that we have to deploy, whether we have to go for T2 micro, T2 medium, that depends upon your server requirement, application requirement. So you can select the instance type, and then you can go with the key name AWS comma, and what is the subnet? The subnet is public subnet 1. In public subnet 1, I want to create the instance, and finally you can provide the security group. So after that the instance will be created, but here we need to change the image ID. Let me check out the image ID. Launch the instance. I want the Ubuntu server, so the Ubuntu mission ID is 053B0. Let me copy this. Okay, I'm going to paste to the same. I think it is not changed, but for my satisfaction, that's it. So the instance is going to be created. Let me check out with this. I will reconfigure and re-update the CloudFormation stack. So replace the current template, upload the template file, and that's it. So we have to we just created our security group and the server, and the server will have the application running. So this is how we can automate our task. We don't need to log in every time into each and every console. If at all, if you are having a knowledge on JSON scripting or YAML scripting, and if you have a very good knowledge in CloudFormation, then you don't need to log in into the every time. You don't need to log in into the management console. Without logging into that also, you can simply create the resources. But this cloud formation is somewhat difficult. So creating the JSON script and writing whatever the specifications, that is something difficult for you. So we are having a specialized tool called as Terraform, which is especially designed for this infrastructure development. So if you learn the Terraform tool, that will be very handy for you, and you can create the instances and or else any resources within a small time, or else within no time you can create the all resources. Okay, so now let us see whether the instances has been created or not. Okay, update completed. Here you can see a server has been deployed. Now when you see here, the server name will be AWS B14 public server. So it is running, and here you can see the security group will be public security group. What are the security group that we have created? With the help of that security group only, the instance has been deployed. And when you check out the when you go on check out the public IP address, and if you try to browse that, you are going to get an image. See there, welcome to Nginx. After a small time, you are going to get the there. There you go. This is the application which is running on our server. If you want to try out this, please try out. I'm going to provide this in the chat box. Try to access this so that you can also access my server. So this is how you can create the servers. So in the next class, we will be discussing about how to create the private servers and how to deploy the private instances, web servers and NAT gateway. With the help of that, how we can create the load balancer and target groups. Lot of things that are there to learn. But this is the basic template which I am showing. Tomorrow we will be having a very tough task that we have to do. We have to close all the things, like we need to configure everything. So be ready for that. Okay, if whenever you are accessing it, are you able to access this? Are you getting
Yes,
the website, whatever it is displaying on my web browser? So you are getting the
Yes,
same.
yes, yes.
So this is how you can configure the servers without logging into the, so I did not use any console. Did I use that? If I want to create a VPC or else route table, I did not use that. Simply with the help of CloudFormation stack, we can deploy all the things. So this CloudFormation is only for AWS, but when you go for the on-premises environment, so Terraform is a tool which will be helpful for you to create the infrastructure in AWS, Azure, GCP, and as well as if at all if you are working on the on-premises VMware also, you can use that Terraform to deploy the resources. So if you learn that tool, that will be very handy. Try to learn it. But as of now, this is here. I will wind up the session. Any questions for this cloud formation? So I will forward you the template. Don't worry about that. But apart from this, any questions?
sir. Even we did not receive CloudWatch documents, sir.
Yeah, I understand that. I will forward today itself. Other than that, other than documentation, any questions?
Sir, could you show that allowed pattern once again, sir? Allowed pattern in template, sir. A little bit confused.
See, that is not mandatory to have that. But anyways, if you want to check out this, you can check out like this. So 0 to 9, which will be 0 to 9 numbers, 1 to 9 and 0 to 9. If you give like this will be from 10 to 99 numbers. So this is the regular expression pattern.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
So it is not a mandatory thing. So majority number, you don't run the cloud formation stack. You don't create the IP addresses also. But as per as per my point of view, I am saying you this regular expression pattern. But when you go to the companies, you will be continuously using the Terraform. You don't use the cloud formation. Okay.
Okay,
But
okay,
anyways, check out this once so that it will be handy for you.
okay.
Okay. Fine then. Okay, guys, we'll meet in the next session and discuss in-depth analysis of creating the load balancer. If you delete the stack, automatically the cloud formation stack, whatever the resources that are created by the cloud formation stack will be deleted. So if you see here, what I can do here is let me delete the stack. So what it is going to do, it will give you a warning that deleting the stack will delete all the stack resources. It is going to delete all the resources that are created by the stack. I don't have any problem. Delete it. Okay, that's it. And in the next session, we will be completing the cloud formation so that we can complete your AWS concepts. Okay, that's all for today. Have a nice day and we'll meet in the next session.
Tomorrow
Bye,
will be the
guys.
last class or next week?
Tomorrow is the last session. There won't
Okay,
be
okay.
any prolonged sessions. Okay,
Can you share tomorrow some questions and probable interview questions and
sure then.
all like that?
I will definitely share with you. Don't worry.
Sir, uh,
Yes.
sir, in this batch you told I will include one migration concept.
Yeah, I thought of including that, but let me check out this. I just want your numbers. So if at all, if time is there, definitely I will collaborate all the students, and at any point of time I can tell you about the migration, AWS migration. It is very important also. But
Yes.
I don't have the hardware compatibility. If I get that, I will definitely include that also in the sessions. Don't worry about that. So please provide your numbers at a particular point of time. I will group all the members and I will definitely tell you about the AWS migration.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. And I think I have all. So you have all my number. You
Yes, sir.
try to contact me on any time,
Yes,
and I will
yes.
be available for you. And finally, what I want to say, yeah, if not possible on Sunday, I'm going to take another session for the interview perspective only. What are the interview questions that you are going to get from the AWS? With that, we will wind up the session. Okay.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay then. Yeah. Bye.